precision, performance, perfection.
Perfection? Y'all are too kind. These cars ain't bad either. Oh boy, today I am excited. I am also Josh, but today mostly I am excited because it is race day, y'all. Lights out and away we go. I get it, guys. I don't appreciate it, but I get it. Today we are finally talking about Formula One and LEGO and Speed Champions to boot. This is the LEGO Speed Champions Mercedes AMG F1 W12 E-Performance and Mercedes AMG Project One. This set contains 564 pieces. It just came out at the beginning of March in 2022, and it only costs $30 here in the United States. We get a couple of cars in this Speed Champions set. For a 2-pack of Speed Champions, $30 is an incredible price point. The builds themselves, also incredible and beautiful. I'll be honest, I'm not really in it for the Project One vehicle. We'll talk about that more in a second. I'm mostly in it for the Formula One car. I think a lot of other people are. I think LEGO did a fantastic job with this car. I couldn't ask for anything more in this vehicle except maybe to give Lewis Hamilton an 8th Drivers' Championship. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes as well. This car is beautiful, is fantastic, and I am a little bit biased when trying to give you my honest thoughts. Is this the best LEGO set of 2022? No. Is this the best LEGO set of all time? Also no. Am I going to give you a completely objective and unbiased review on this LEGO set? Absolutely not. I am as excited for this set as I am biased. This set represents a perfect merging of a couple of things that I've become a very big fan of in recent years. LEGO for one, Formula One for two, and Speed Champions as a LEGO theme within LEGO. And now we get all three of those things coming together. 3 is less than half of the number of world champions that Lewis Hamilton has won, who may or may not be included in this set. We'll talk about the minifigures in a second as well, but I'm very excited about all those things mashing and merging together. And someone is going to ask, well, what if I'm not a fan of LEGO or Formula One or Speed Champions? Should I still buy this set? Yes, absolutely, you should. Sorry, I told you I was going to be biased in this one. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's talk about the build process for these sets, and then we'll talk about the minifigures, and we'll get real down into the nitty-gritty. And like a true Formula One fan who watches all the pre- and post-race coverage, we'll look at these new vehicles from every angle. I started this build with the Project One. I built this vehicle honestly really as more of a formality, and I only started with this car to further build my anticipation for the actual Formula One vehicle. That being said, the build for this car was still nice. It was very middle of the road. If this was a team in the 2021 season, I think this would be like Alpine or Aston Martin or something. Very middle of the road performance on this build. Things started to go downhill when I realized I was missing one of the new printed headlight pieces for this set, but it's not the kind of thing worth dwelling on or talking about at length, especially not in video form. The W12, on the other hand, that build is where the money's at. Literally, that is a very well-funded team. The build was also unlike any other Speed Champions vehicles because the car is unlike other Speed Champions vehicles. It's so different and small and unique, and it was smaller and more fragile and I guess didn't take as long, but even so, that just means it took you an even shorter amount of time to get to this beautiful finished product. Okay, let's get this out of the way. The AMG Project One is probably a fine vehicle, and this LEGO Speed Champions interpretation of that vehicle is also probably just fine. Unfortunately, they put this car in the same box as a Formula One car, and so I am kind of overlooking this car entirely. I think this is a vehicle that's in Forza Horizon 5, which is a decent game. Like, the game is as good as this car, I guess, so it's apt that that analogy is the one that I am currently making. If this car were sold completely on its own as a standalone Speed Champions set, I would probably say some really nice things about it. Unfortunately, it's in the same box as a LEGO Formula One vehicle, so it never really stood a chance against its Mercedes competition, much like Valtteri Bottas. Also like Valtteri Bottas, this car is a solid number 2, and I'm not talking about what I did right before this video, or Ryan, if we're talking about the biggest LEGO Star Wars fans. Okay, let's do this. This is the LEGO Mercedes AMG F1 W12 E-Performance vehicle. It's a Formula One car. It's all I've ever wanted in my entire life. I've been staring at this thing for hours, and it has never gotten old. Okay, I've mentioned I'm a little biased when talking about this set. I think, checks all of the boxes that you would hope. It meets all of the regulations that you would hope to really get the perfect look and feel of a LEGO Formula One vehicle. Asterisk, it does that while still maintaining the 8 stud wide regulations that Speed Champions are currently following. Obviously, the W12 is the 2021 car, so I'm not going to try to compare this to the new 2022 looking vehicles. This thing would look nothing like those new cars. That's my way to point out the fact that obviously you're not going to be able to get that much detail at this scale, but like I said, I think LEGO still did a really great job. This vehicle, like, it manages to feel a little fragile and flimsy. I'm pushing it down because it almost has a bit of suspension, but that's just because like the front wheels are only held on by like these Technic pin pieces. This thing does feel pretty fragile, and it is like it's minimalist. It doesn't use a ton of pieces, which I think is why LEGO didn't put this in a set by itself, but that's pretty true to LEGO, or to like actual Formula One cars, right? Those things are just made of carbon fiber, which is basically metal paper. Those things just fall apart when they hit a wall at 1,000 miles an hour. I don't know how to convert from kilometers very well. Details on this thing worth pointing out. This one, this one, this one back here, and these over here. There are 4 of those around the vehicle. Those are wheels, and on the end of every wheel is like a little wheel cap piece. I think we've seen these used in the past. I have a little bit of an issue because in Formula One, obviously you all know this because you're watching this vehicle, but in Formula One there are like 5 different colored tires that get used at any given time. Blue, however, represents a wet tire, so you don't actually see that color of tire used in regular Formula One season, except in like the couple of wet occasions. I understand LEGO's justification for this. As far as I know, that justification is that, one, the blue of that tire cover kind of matches the blue of the car, and these tires have some texture to them, and a Formula One tire is very slick. I'm saying that in my head. That's spelled T-Y-R-E to really get into the true spirit of Formula One. You guys obviously can't see that because I'm speaking these words, but in real Formula One tires, they're obviously slicks, but on a LEGO tire, there's a little bit of texture there, so we're going, oh, these are wet tires. What I would have liked to have seen would have been some alternate tire pieces. Obviously, that might have been asking for a bit too much, especially since we basically already got everything we could ever want in a LEGO Formula One 8-stud wide Speed Champions W12 Mercedes vehicle. A couple of things I was actually looking out for before this car came out. I was confused how like they would do the suspension bars in the LEGO version of this car. Basically, there's like a lot of bars just like going across to connect the wheels and stuff. That's the suspension. In this, it's just like a very small bar piece, very minimal. In the back, there's like a hard to see little bar piece there as well. That gets the job done, I think. Speaking of getting the job done, like the front wing, sure, I could believe that that would generate a little bit of downforce. The rear wing, I actually think is a really, it's like well done, and like the shape and the width that LEGO has gone with there. Doesn't have a DRS system, so points off for that, but I don't know, let's just say they went outside the white lines one too many times, because who knows where the actual racetrack is these days, right? We'll see what the regulations are like in 2022, but like I think there is real DRS in the big Technic McLaren Formula One car, so we'll let that one pass on this car. The steering wheel in this car is a blank video game controller. I appreciate that just for being true to the size and like the general shape of a Formula One steering wheel. The mirrors are just like little pin clip things. You may have also noticed that the decaling and some of those stickers, they have number 44 on them. That represents a single driver's number, and so right now this car is decked out to represent the 2021 car driven by one Lewis Hamilton. Sorry, Sir Lewis Hamilton. But LEGO actually gives you some alternative stickered pieces. These are number 77. Obviously, those are from Valtteri Bottas. So you can change those out and make this Bottas's car. I don't really know why you would do that. Hamilton has won 7 drivers' championships, or 8, depending on who you talk to. The end of 2021 was weird, but Bottas, that's 0 championships for you so far, buddy. Nah, he's a great guy. I'd never say anything mean about him or call him a solid number 2, comparing him to a turd, essentially. That was mean. Bottas, I hope you're not watching this. But hey, do you know why Bottas is so good at completing races? Because he's Finnish. Get it? 2 minifigures are included in this set. The one on the left here, wearing the racing suit, we have to assume is one of 2 drivers from the 2021 season. He's got to be either 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton or 8-time world champion Lewis Hamilton, depending on who you ask. Some people still say it's the latter. I personally think it's the former. If you were to ask Michael Massey, he doesn't get an opinion because he's the one that started this whole mess and now he doesn't have a job. I'm still impressed that Hamilton is able to race so well at the highest level of motorsport while still producing like really beloved musicals. What's the one on Disney Plus right now that everyone's going so crazy about? I can never remember that name. The second minifigure here is the strangest depiction of Valtteri Bottas I've ever seen. Maybe he dyed his hair and grew a ponytail in the off-season or something. I don't know. In all honesty though, if anyone does have like a source on a really good face that I could use to represent Lewis Hamilton or Valtteri Bottas, I'd like to have like actual minifigure representations of them. Give me a link or something, be it official Lego or even custom at this point. And so it should come as no surprise that my overall opinion on this Lego set is the same as the Formula One community's opinion on Sebastian Vettel is. Overwhelmingly positive, and for good reason. That dude is a saint. If this Lego set were half as good as a driver or as a person as Sebastian Vettel was, then that would really be something. The cars are great, the minifigures are fine, this set lives up to every expectation I could have had. If there was one thing that I could ask for in relation to this set, it would be more of this set. There are 10 different Formula One teams with 10 different unique like liveries and little details on their cars. I would appreciate a sub-theme of LEGO Speed Champions with all of the different cars in the lineup right now, updated as liveries update. Is that too much to ask? Obviously it is. If there was one thing I could ask for, it would be to have my one missing headlight piece on the Project One there, but let's not spend a long time talking about that. Let's just concentrate on the positive. The positive is this entire set. For $30, that is a steal. It can't be beat. If you are not a LEGO fan, if you are not a Formula One fan, or not a Speed Champions fan, doesn't matter. Buy the set anyway. As always, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoy this LEGO set. That would be a very high standard to live up to. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends. I'll see you next time.
Perfection, perspiration, precipitation, prescription, personalization, participation, preoccupation, pacification, pre-inclination, predilection, predisposition, premonition.